Hello friends, and welcome back to Enterprise Architecture. Now, last episode we delved even further into Techopolis 3, and we made a lot of really good progress. We actually got to the point where we have the Mekanism evaporation chambers unlocked now, which you can see behind me there. That is making a flood of hot water, and I'll show you what that's for in just a second. Today, we are going to try and finish out this section of the quest line, and that means we can move on to making Elite Technium at long last. So, with no further ado, let's dive right in. So as I was just mentioning, I did set up a thermal evaporation plant here for us. This is going to be the key to how we can get hot water. And that hot water that we're producing in here is the solution to our diamond woes. I had not been able to produce enough diamond to be able to keep up here. It turns out that 1 millibucket of hot water gives you 10 millibuckets of purifying water instead of 2 to 1, which was happening with our regular water. So this means that we've increased our production 20-fold. That's really good. Now upstairs I've increased the amount of coal production that I'm doing as well. We are doing a lot of charcoal off of all of those cloches that you can see up there. Let me climb up here just so you can get a better view of how much we have set up. Right, so all of these cloches up here, this is all just making wood for us. That's just going to our smelting factory to make charcoal for us, and that's being turned into blocks of coal in our solidifier back here. So we're getting a lot of blocks of coal that we're turning into purified coal. That's all being powered off of this massive array of biofuel producers, or excuse me, biogenerators that we're using after producing biofuel off of pumpkins over here. Very similar to what we have underneath the ground here, but that's just to power these smelting factories to be able to keep up. That's a lot of power they're using. You can see it flickering just to see how quickly that is going. But that means we are finally making enough diamond to be able to actually keep up here. But that means we're producing about a diamond every second, every 10 seconds. We were getting one every 5 seconds, but it's slowed back down again. But that's still way better than we were doing, where we were getting about 1 a minute. That means we have effectively infinite diamond. Now, at the end of the last episode, we did set up a smaller evaporation controller and chamber here that we were using just to make hot water, because I found out the hard way that in this pack, we do not get brine from water when we heat it, we get hot water first. So that's good because of the bottleneck we just resolved that you just saw. But it's bad because we need to now set up an extra thermal evaporation chamber to be able to make brine. The brine we are then going to use in another thermal evaporation chamber to make lithium. And I believe we have to put that lithium into a 4th one to be able to get sulfuric acid. That is a lot of those chambers that we need to make. And unfortunately, those take a lot of blocks. It turns out we need something in the neighborhood of 230 of those thermal evaporation blocks to be able to make each of those at a full height. So the solution here is we're just not going to make them full height. We're going to make them smaller instead, and we're just going to deal with them being a slower rate, at least for the near future here. So we do have a bunch of reinforced machine casings that I've been making up between episodes. Those are still going in that machine, so we'll have more here, but this will be a good starting point. So first things first, let's go ahead and take a stack of those, and we're going to surround this with steel, and that's how we are going to make our thermal evaporation blocks. That's going to give us 4 stacks of that. Once we are done, there we go. I'm going to put the rest of these reinforced reinforced machine casings just here in my inventory for use later. So that gives us a good starting point. Now we need to make all of the blocks that are going to be necessary that we did at the end of last episode. So at the end of last episode, you already saw this, but we're going to do it again. We need to make up a few more energy tablets. So I made up some gold, and gold is very expensive, as we learned. Oh, energy tablets stack now. That is wonderful. For the longest time, energy tablets never stacked. This is fantastic. I don't know how many will stack altogether, but that's a huge improvement already. Quality of life upgrade right there. All right. So we need to make 3 more evaporation controllers. So let's go ahead and just drop some more of these in here. So that's 1, 2, and 3 of those. Then we need to make ourselves some evaporation valves. I believe if we're going to do, let's see, 3 per each of our towers, that means we're going to need 9 of these, 8 and 9. There we go. And I do believe we're also going to need to make 3 resistive heaters. That means we need to make up some more of these machine frames here. Let's go ahead and use up the last of our advanced technium. We have more cooking right now. I worked on some other bottlenecks around that, so we can go and get some of that later, but we do need to make 3 of these frames real fast. And 1 right in the middle, and that will make our frame. Great. All right, so let's go ahead and make up our 3 resistive heaters here. Oh, and we are out of energy tablets already? Let's go ahead and make 2 more for the last of these heaters. Man, we are running real short on gold, and gold is super expensive, y'all. I don't know if you saw last episode here, but man, to actually get gold dust, you won't believe this. You have to put basically 6 pieces of another ingot in there in our dimensional infuser, and that thing is also real slow. So I've been trying to crank out a little bit of extra, but I'm really kind of holding off until we have the gold dimensional ore, because that'll be probably our primary way of getting gold in the near future. So here is the mini thermal evaporation plant that we set up last time here. This is going okay for us. Seems to be working just fine here. I might refactor this a little bit here because I really would rather the heat production be on the same side all the way down here. We are going to put another one immediately next to this here, and I think snuggling them up is not the worst idea in the world, but I do want to give myself a little bit of space just in case I have to do any pipe logistics here. All right, here's the intermediate view, so you can kind of see how everything is going to be laid out momentarily. Okay, these are slowly being set up here. This one is making our hot water at the front, as discussed before. This second one is taking that hot water and turning it into brine. That's good. The third one here, we're going to pull out from this block right here. There we go. That's going to bring in our brine, and that's making our lithium for us. Wonderful. And then we come all the way back over here, and let's set up the last one to be bringing in that lithium to make our sulfuric acid, just like that. All right, now we are finally at 1 bucket of brine. We can pick up that bucket of brine and bring it all the way over here to our dimensional infuser. I believe this is already done with all of the other things it needs to do. Yeah, it is. Okay. Let's dump a bucket of brine in there. That's going to process real quick for us into some fluorite dust, and it looks like it is using 200 at a time. Let's go ahead and get credit for that. And then this, it looks like what we're going to do is maybe make some fluorite crystals out of it. So that goes into an enrichment chamber. That's going to give us our fluorite here. All right, that's going really quick. There is our fluorite for us. Wonderful. We've got that unlocked now. With the fluorite in hand, we should be able to make our chemical crystallizer. So let's go ahead and slap one of these together. We just need to make that frame per usual, just like that. Oh, we are definitely going to have to go get some more advanced technium. Okay, there's the chemical crystallizer. Wonderful. And now, at long last, we should be able to use that to make our lithium dust here. All right, so if I'd read that a little more carefully, I'd realize that I need 2 chemical crystallizers and 2 rotary condensators to be able to get this done. So we'll put the rotary condensator there, and we'll put the chemical crystallizer here. And then we just need to bring down our liquid and into here. In this case, this is going to be our, what are we pulling out of this? This is our liquid lithium, right? So let's pull this out. That's going to go in here. That should be able to start doing its condensating here pretty quick. Let's see here. Are you right? Is getting your input, advanced mechanical pipe. Let's make sure fluids are coming in. That should be the input. There we go. And then we're going to output on the left. So that should, in theory, no, what am I missing? Oh, maybe the mode is backwards. There we go. Okay. Now it's decondensating. Okay, wonderful. So now we're getting lithium. The lithium will need to crystallize, but for that, we are gonna need our pressurized tubes because now it has become a gas. There we go. That's now pushing into here. I didn't need to set that, but I'm gonna do it anyway. And this slowly but surely will become our lithium dust. Wonderful. Okay. Now our lithium dust, I'm going to want to pull out of there as well. Let's just go ahead and throw this into a storage drawer for now. We'll pop this up just a little bit right here. Great. And now we just need to tell this to eject into that. So let's output there. This is going to actually input here, and we auto eject. There, now we are getting lithium dust. Great, that completes that quest. The next quest after that, of course, is to do exactly the same thing, only we need to do it for our sulfur. And we do the same thing here for our sulfur, almost exactly the same setup. Just bringing our tubes down. Those are the wrong tubes. We want the mechanical pipe just like that into here. Change the mode, I think, and we just need to change this so that the input is actually from this side. And we just need to pull out of here. There we go. Now it's doing the thing. That is turning into sulfuric acid. I think the sulfuric acid we will also be using for other purposes here. It was indeed the first setting. Okay, so now we're getting sulfuric acid into here. That's working well for us. This shouldn't need anything else to go, should it? Chemical crystallizer, sulfuric acid? No, it just needs enough of it to do the thing. So we just need to wait for that to finish. To make this go a little quicker, I am going to go ahead and add a couple of more layers onto some of these machines so that hopefully the evaporation process will go a little quicker for us. Alright, to make this go a little faster, one thing we can do is change the settings of the resistive heater here. So for instance, right now it's only using 40 FE per tick. If I instead say use 120 FE per tick, that's going to make the temperature go up considerably. That should start going a little better for us. Alright, wonderful. Now it is worth noting that the ratios are not 1-to-1. It's 1-to-1 for water to hot water, but it's 8-to-1 for hot water to brine. And then our brine is 8-to-1 again to liquid lithium. And then our liquid lithium is, of course, 8-to-1 for sulfuric acid. So 8 to the third, that's basically what you're getting here to be able to get the liquid sulfuric acid out. That is a lot of water. And the only way we're really going to be able to increase this, aside from increasing the temperature here, is going to be able to actually create multiple of these thermal evaporation towers and get them cranked up. Alright, at long last, we finally have some sulfur. We've got 4 pieces of sulfur. That is not a lot, but it does complete this entire section of quest line. All we need to do now is double back and pick up these few things that we have missed. Let's go back and get black quartz. First of all, that should be easy enough for us. All we have to do is throw our regular Certus quartz into our dimensional infuser. Now, this is going to be a short-term recipe here because we do need to take our Certus quartz and create a whole new dedicated one of our dimensional infusers so that we can have infinite amounts of our, black quartz here, because that's going to be a recipe that we're going to need to use to make other things with. So that's actually going to be on our way to getting the Fluix crystals. So we do need to make a permanent way of making this, and that means that we need a dedicated infuser for it. Alright, so we can finish out that last section of recipe by taking our black quartz and making a block of black quartz. Oh, I guess we only need 4, not 9. That's great. Alright, so we'll grab that up. Perfect. That's that quest. We need to make nether quartz, and we're going to make that in our enrichment chamber with our black quartz. And again, that's going to be one of those recipes we're going to be making a lot of. So let's go to the enrichment chamber. Let's just put 1 piece of quartz in there for now. Great. Again, we're going to set that up to automate here in a little bit. And then it's only on to making our chemical upgrades, skystone, and then our inscribers. The chemical upgrade is going to be the easiest thing for us to make. Let's go ahead and grab up some iron dust here by throwing an iron ingot in the crusher. I think this is going to be somewhere in this mess. There we go. Chemical upgrade, just like that. Grab that up. We had already made some of those in the past, but we need to have it for completing the quest. So let's throw that in there. Using that chemical upgrade, it's really only useful for things where you're actually infusing in the secondary ingredients, like carbon or anything like that. That's the only time we actually use that. All right, there's 8 old gold ingots. Now we can make our inscriber press. There we go, just like that. Do we actually need to use this immediately? Yeah, we do, because we need to make a logic processor, and that uses a printed logic circuit, which uses more gold. So let's go grab up 1 more piece of gold here from this inventory. Oh, I already have it in my inventory. Okay, great. 1 piece of gold there. We will go over here to our inscriber, throw these pieces together, and very rapidly that should then make up the gold circuit, printed logic circuit, I guess they're calling it. That's fine. And then let's see here, we need that and a printed silicon and a piece of redstone dust. And that will make that next circuit. All right, there we go. And there, logic processor done. Okay, great. All right, so the only thing we need to do to finish out this section of the quest line is to make skystone. That we make in a dimensional infuser with regular stone. So again, more need to make another dimensional infuser. I think at the end of this, I'm gonna probably have to make 4 or 5 of them. Again, I'm gonna do that between episodes just because it's gonna take a long time to make all of the scaffolding and bits that we need to build that out. Let's put this into there. And hopefully this will very rapidly give us our skystone. Let's grab the rest of our black quartz out of there. There's some skystone for us. Excellent. And now we just need to make that ME controller. All right, so this is interesting. To make the ME controller, we need the skystone we just made, but we also need Fluix Crystal. And you know what? We don't have a way to make Fluix Crystal at this point. The only way that's close is going to be the arc furnace. And for that, we still need to make Graphite Rods. And that's not in this quest line. So we actually need to skip ahead to the next quest line, get all the way down this section to be able to make those and then double back. That's weird, but I guess that's what we have to do. So first things first, we need to get 8 pieces of our advanced research books. So let's grab 8 of those, and we're gonna take that back down to the dimensional infuser and throw it in. And those are getting processed, and out the other end should come our engineer's blueprint. This is for making our arc furnace electrodes. Wonderful. That means we are now on to making the industrial squeezer. Okay, so we can make this. We have created all of these ingredients before, except for the wooden barrel, which we just need some treated wood planks to make. So let me go make that up. While I'm doing that, I'm also going to go ahead and make up all of the things that we need for the arc furnace. So let's see here. The arc furnace itself requires a whole lot of pieces here. We need reinforced blast bricks, we need steel sheet metal, steel blocks, all of this good stuff. All right, let's get this built real quick here. We need to make some fluid pipes here. That should be no problem for us. Let's go ahead and make 2 sets of those while we're at it. And we've got a bunch already laying around here. We only need 2 of those for the squeezer. We'll put those into our inventory for now. All right, that's the first piece. Next piece, we're going to need 2 light engineering blocks. I'll go ahead and make 4 because it's 4 to the set. Great. We are going to need 4 wooden barrels here. That should be easy for us. We do need to make up more of these treated wood slabs. So let's go to make up a bunch of those. And then we can make ourselves up 4 more barrels. 2 up. We are out of treated wood planks. No problem. I have a whole drawer full of them. No, I have 5 whole drawers full of them. Okay, that should be more than enough. All right, 3 and 4, there we go. What's next on our list? A redstone engineering block, no problem. We can do one of those easily. Let's do our piston. There we go, there's that. Let's do our steel scaffolding. We should be able to do a bunch of that. Let's see here, how much more? And then steel fences are all that we're gonna need. All right, into the metal press you go, my pretties. That should be done momentarily here. I just did a full stack while we're at it. All right, and there are our steel fences. Great. So that's everything that we should need for the industrial squeezer. Now we can move on to the arc furnace. First, we're gonna need 27 blast bricks. And thankfully, I had already made up the blast bricks a while back for an arc furnace, or excuse me, not an arc furnace, a blast furnace that we never actually built. So that's easy enough for us to do. I'm gonna hang on to this steel plate for something in just a second. All right, so that's gonna be the first piece of this. We're gonna need 8 steel sheet metal. I believe we already have steel sheet metal in here. Yeah, I made up a stack of that earlier. Let's do 8 there, great. We're gonna need 14 steel sheet metal slabs. That's just as easy. We just need to make a couple of passes here. There we go. We're gonna need 6 steel blocks. That's gonna be no problem for us. We got a lot of steel in here. There's that. Then it's on to more steel scaffolding. Let's go ahead and make 6 more of those, and we can put 1 back because we only need 5. We are gonna need 5 heavy engineering blocks. Do we have any heavy engineering blocks already in here? Heavy, we do not. All right, that's not a problem. 5 of those coming up quick. 1, 2, and we're going to put 3 of those back into storage. We are going to need a cauldron. Okay, cauldron, there we go. We are going to need more redstone engineering blocks, and we already determined that we have extras of those. We are going to need 10 light engineering blocks here. So I think we've got 2, and then we just need to make 2 more sets of 4 each. And I think that should be everything for the arc furnace. Now, the only other thing I want to do while we're here is to grab the placers up. I don't need to buy these. I can actually just make them, as it turns out. So we're going to grab both of those. Oh, and I just lost my hammer. Add our hammer to it. That makes our arc furnace placer. Oh, and that didn't use up the hammer that time. I guess my hammer was out of durability. That could explain why. Well, we've got an extra hammer now. That's fine. We're certainly going to use it. All right. Now we can run all the way down to the end here and we can set this up. All right, let's come over just a little bit here. We're going to throw down our handy dandy immersive multi-block placer. And we then are going to grab our squeezer placer here. We're going to give this a good healthy right click, and that's going to put our squeezer down for us. Then all we have to do is grab up our hammer and give this thing a good whacking. And that should, if I can find the right block, there we go. That will make our industrial squeezer for us. Okay, great. Now we can put together the arc furnace, one of the most massive structures in the game. I absolutely love the look of it, even if it is very annoying. Arc furnace, there we go. That's the arc furnace we love. And I think we just whack this block there. Yeah, that's the right one. Look at that monstrosity. What a beast. It's like RoboCop looking. I love it. Okay. Perfect. So these machines are now made. Let me go ahead and get these wired up for power. We need to put power on the top of this, power on the top of that. And thankfully our power lines are right down here. So let me get that hooked up real fast. All right, so now we need to make our hop graphite dust. That means we need to make some coke dust. Coke dust we just throw into the crusher. So let's go get our coal coke and throw that in the crusher. All right, there we go. Coke dust slowly coming in. We'll grab that back up. Now we can throw this in our squeezer, and we'll put all 4 stacks of this directly in here. That should then get squeezed for us. There's our hop graphite dust coming back out. This is not a very good recipe, 8-to-1, don't love it, but thankfully we can do a bunch all at once. So this should be done momentarily. There we go. There's 32 of those. We can then take this and throw it into our energized smelter to make our hop graphite ingot all the way down here. And there we go, 32 of our graphite ingots. And if I remember correctly, now all we need to do is make ourselves some actual rods with it in our engineer's table here with the blueprint that we made a few minutes ago. So let's go ahead and make up a couple of these. We're going to do 4 for now. I think that'll be plenty. Okay, that's great. And now at long last, we can do that last recipe here. We can make our Fluix Crystal. Let's go ahead and grab up those other ingredients. We need the other 2 types of crystal out of here. Give me some crystals. There's the Certus Quartz Crystal. Right there, the Black Quartz Crystal. Great. And then we just need some redstone to go with that. Okay, wonderful. That should be more than enough. All right, here we are back at our arc furnace. Arc furnace. Okay, so I believe these go in here, and then these go in here. That's very loud, but that is indeed now working and making our Fluix crystals. We can do something about that, I'm sure. Okay, hopefully that will quiet down now. Okay, wonderful. And there's our Fluix crystals at long last. And with any luck, that also means that we have now got everything that we need to complete this entire section of quest. Let's just go make the ME controller real quick. All right, and there is the engineering processor that we need to make up from our other 2 types of circuits. And the only other thing we need to do is melt 4 pieces of skystone into, or excuse me, cook 4 pieces of skystone into skystone blocks. That seems like a bit of an oversight here, but that's not a big deal. Let's grab that, wrap this around those crystals and that new processor. There is our ME controller. And all that work nets us 1 tech buck, but we have completed that entire section of questline under dimensional ores, and we've already made a start onto Elite Technium. We're almost halfway to getting that done in the last questline. Alright, so we made amazing progress today, y'all. We got to delve even deeper into Mekanism, we got to delve even deeper into immersive engineering. We are getting to the mid to late game in both of those packs, and that feels really, really good here. Now, in between episodes, I'm probably going to start setting up some of the automation of the pieces that we saw today that I didn't get to. We need more of those dimensional infusers and whatnot, and I also think I might go ahead and start using some of that sulfuric acid to set up the Mekanism processing chain, because that is very annoying and very boring to watch. So I'm probably going to use that to get my dimensional gold being processed here, because we do not have a source of gold yet, and that's how we're going to get it. So I'll work on that a little bit between episodes here, get some of the automation sorted out, and then we'll be ready to dive into that last bit of the Elite Technium quest line bright and early. So, thanks again for watching Enterprise Architecture, and we'll see you back here next time. Bye, friends!